Hey YouTube, this is one and only GI Nerd Commander, and today we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna get extreme. ECW. Yeah, it's extreme, baby. These figures were made in 1999. At the time, I was a big ECW fan. And a little side story about this. This is the last toys I got before I went into high school, and I kind of got out of toys. But I remember the day that the package arrived. I ordered each figure from the first wave except for Devon and Bubba because they had left for the World Wrestling Federation, and I was so upset by it that I decided not to buy the figures. But I still remember the day that the package came because there was a huge car accident in front of my mother's house, and it was a bad car accident, and I was walking towards it. There's cop cars everywhere, and I see the package, and I was like, oh goody, and I went running to it because I was so happy that my ECW figures had arrived. So let's kind of get into this. We're going to do 4 figures. I'm going to try to keep it as fast as possible. The first one we're going to do is Sabu, my personal favorite wrestler of all time. Even though I don't actually watch wrestling anymore, I would still say that Sabu is awesome in every way. You might be wondering why he was laying in such a pretty pose, and that's because something must have, I don't know if it got warped or if I just never noticed it, but this leg, there's something wrong with it, so it's actually shorter than the other one. I can't remember who made these figures. I want to say Jax made them. I could be wrong, but they were definitely not made with collectors in mind because they're very bulky, and well, if they were actually made with collectors in mind, I think they missed the mark pretty far. So anyway, let's get into Sabu. Like I said, Sabu is my favorite wrestler of all time, and getting this figure, nobody else would. Being an ECW fan, having an actual figure of like a Sabu or Taz or something was huge for me. So I was really happy to be able to get him. One cool thing is you can see that Sabu is written on the tape right there. That's pretty cool. They did throw in a few scars throughout the body, which of course every Sabu figure always has to have a scar or two. The articulation is really bad. You really can't do much with him. His legs really don't move too well. His knees don't really bend too well. So they're very bulky figures. Arms really don't go out too far. But like I said, growing up and being a huge fan of Extreme Championship Wrestling, this is, still, even though he's just kind of kept in a box in the basement, it's still actually prized collectible to me. So, although I do wish I still had the boxes for him. I actually kept all the boxes, were in really good condition, and I kept them in a sealed bag in my mother's basement. And unfortunately, at the time when she moved, I went down to clear it all up, and I wasn't into toys at the time, so I was like, well, why the fuck do I need this? So I threw them all away. So anyway, that's Sabu. Really short, also. Very short, kind of stubby figure. You just have this little thing in the back here. So you could, like this. But I think they definitely tried to put a little bit of detail in it, with like the tape and, this, but all in all, not exactly a very good looking figure at all. Okay, so next we'll go to Tommy Dreamer. Another one of my favorites. These are probably my 4 favorite. Well, maybe not RVD. Okay, maybe you're right. I don't know. We'll get into that some other time of ECW guys. So Tommy Dreamer was actually somewhat better articulated than some of the other ones. He could move with a bulkier size pants. He could actually move his legs a little bit more and his knees a little bit better. Unfortunately, like with a lot of these figures, because I did get a lot of them, but we're only going to go through 4 right now. The paint, if anything even remotely hard touches any of the paint, it's gone. So cool detail on the back though. Unfortunately, this part kind of rubbed off, but cool ECW logo up there. Of course, you know this means war, and he's got his little gimmick here. So, you know, again, a very bulky figure. All the articulation is pretty hindered, but you know, they're cool. They're cool to have around. And they're all pretty much accurate to the style of I don't want to say costume, ring attire, we'll say, that they would go to the ring with. Oh, what's this down here? We'll look at his boot real quick. SFT HGG. Okay, I don't know what that means. So it's probably some company that went out of business after they made these. So there's Tommy Dreamer. And good, definitely the highlight of this figure is the amount of detail they threw back here. So we'll set him aside as well. And give me 1 second here. Alright. Now let's get into Taz. All these figures did also come with they would come with something like a chair or garbage can, something like that. I've been asked quite a few times where when with this display back here where I have stuff like a garbage can or chair or something. It's usually from old wrestling figures, so they'd all come with you know, the chair, garbage can, or whatnot. But Taz and RVD did come with something a little bit extra, and as you'll see, it is pretty faded from time. But Taz did come with the ECW Championship belt. This one, I think they I can't remember. I don't think that Raven actually had this version of the belt. I think it was actually Terry Funk was the first one that had it. But this was always my favorite version of the belt. So, but he would come packaged with the belt. Like I said, unfortunately, time has really faded it, which it sucks because I would actually really like to have it displayed. But there's still a lot of good detail. I don't know how much will be able to be picked up by the camera, but there's still a lot of really good detail in it. Excuse me. So that was a cool little thing that they threw in there. Taz is probably actually one of the better figures as far as articulation goes. He has a lot more movement, and it's a lot more fluid movement. He moves a lot easier than other figures. Really cool detail with his tattoos. They seem to do a lot. This was also before the WWF started making figures with a lot more detail on them per se, such as tattoos. You'll notice that some of them have definitely faded and been worn over time. This one, the ones on the arms still look really, really good. But Taz's little gimmick was he'd go like this. But this was probably, in my opinion, one of the more better figures. Fairly accurate, and also it just had a lot more movement to him. Only thing I wish that they would have made was maybe if they could have put some orange up here, or just Taz right there, FTW, you know, whatever. Or even on the tape itself. So there's Taz right there. Oh, looking good with his championship belt. that he won from Shane Douglas. So there we go. And we'll put him aside. Well, before I put him aside, I'll try to get a little bit of detail. It's really hard. This camera is not really that well. It's not a good camera at all. We can kind of see a little bit of the detail on the tattoos. And now it's time for everybody's favorite wrestler. It must be 420, Mr. PPV RVD, who came packaged with the television title. They went from Bam Bam Bigelow. So if you can kind of see here in the corner, you'll see that it's a little bit shinier. So a very small amount of the original paint is still left on there. I don't want to say left on there. The rest of it's just faded away. But still, these belts were also, besides issuing belts that looked authentic, like authentic replicas to the actual belt itself, and having the tattoo detail, they also did put, like I said with Tommy Dreamer, in some figures a lot more detail on the costumes. Unlike the WWF, which at the time really was not putting a whole lot of detail into stuff like that. So, and here we have Rob Van Dam. He's got the Van Dam crust here. You know, yeah, I think they definitely went a little bit more. They put a little bit more effort into Rob Van Dam. I think because they knew that he would sell a little bit better than other figures at the time. He was very, very popular. One other kind of cool thing is he does have the 5 o'clock shadow, as it were, on the face there. So I'm actually surprised how well that actually kept up over time, compared to some of the other figures I have that the paint's kind of worn off of. See a little bit of wear right here, right there on that dragon. So RVD looks cool. His gimmick was, that's his gimmick. I don't make this stuff up, guys. I don't make it up. This is what RVD's gimmick was. Yeah. So, good art. Also with Taz, RVD has a little bit better articulation. His legs can definitely go forward more than the other figures could. Not really so much back though. Other than that, just the standard of what they were doing. I think he was the only one that came with black tape on the wrists and hands though. So like I said, they put a little bit more effort into RVD, as he was the franchise, so to speak, of the company at the time. So yeah, all in all, even though they weren't the best figures ever made, I have a lot of really fond memories of getting these figures and staying up and watching ECW all night on the bootleg videos. I would spend so much money on those things, it's unbelievable. Well, I guess at the time it would be a lot of money. Now, I mean, look at how much money I spend on other crap. So, but I hope that you enjoyed this little mini review. Probably won't be doing many more like this. Might have one or two kind of different, but we'll probably go right back to the G.I. Joe stuff here. Leave a comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And yeah, so that was ECW. Still have a lot of really great fond memories of it, even though I'm not a wrestling fan anymore. But I could still probably be able to out trivia most people from 1994 till 1999 of ECW trivia. But that's another story for another day. Cool figures. I'm sure you could probably find them on eBay pretty cheap. I don't really know if they're sought after at all. I would doubt it because of the lack of articulation that they have. But still, for somebody like me, they mean a lot because they were the first, and you know, original is always better than a copycat, if you know what I mean. So thanks for watching, and subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Bye bye.